All right, here we go. Welcome to another edition of Herding Cats. And this time I have one of the first cats to have a cat, and that's Bob Glaub here, doing Zoom interviews. And we're talking about what's cool about these things with as many people as we can who've embraced these instruments. Welcome, Bob. I mean, most people listening to this are going to know who you are, but can you give us a quick walkthrough of like a career overview and tell us some of the notable things that you've done over the years? Since let's see, I was watching a Linda Rondstadt show from 1980, and so I know you got your start in LA a little before that, but just give us a quick rundown of
Well,
what
I
you've
got my
done.
start about 8 years before that. 1972 was my first recording session I ever did. And just kind of never looked back, really, except for some lulls, when workload might have gotten slow several years, peaks and valleys over many years. Yeah, I'm entering, I guess, my 49th year.
Wow.
In the one-trick pony, bass player.
How old were yeah, right. How old were you when you started?
Well, I'm going to be 69 in about 5 months, 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 months, 4.5
Okay.
months. So I was 20, just
Okay.
turned 20
Wow.
when I did my first session. I was actually on the road before that when I was 19 in a Vegas style show band.
Okay.
So yeah, I quit community college. I was taking some courses to go on the road very last minute on a kind of a day's notice. We didn't go on the road. The first gig was in town, but I quit because it was kind of a full-time thing. And
Yeah.
we leave in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I've been doing that and still doing some recording sessions. I mean, some years more than others. I
Sure.
toured with Jackson Browne again for the last 6 years or so, and been recording with him
Cool.
over this year a little bit on I don't know, I guess it was gonna be a soon to be released forthcoming album. I think it's coming out this coming year, which starts in 2 days. So I don't know when in the year it's coming out. We had
Cool.
tours scheduled to start this coming May, which were pushed back a year from May 2020, but because of the pandemic, it pushed up a whole year. But I don't know if that's going to happen. It's probably doubtful. We'll come out that soon. So I did that, and I toured with a number of people. Played on quite a few albums, hundreds, if not 1,000 or so. I don't know. I haven't kept track. You can go to music.com and punch my name in and see a pretty lengthy list of recordings I've done over the years with, a lot of famous and not so famous people, and some hits and a lot more not hits. And, it's been fun. I've been blessed to be able to do what to do this still. Yeah.
I mean, so, I mean, notably, I remember some Warren Zevon tracks. You posted one on social media a while ago. Something about a train all aboard
Oh, that's called Nighttime in the Switching Yard.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Fun groove.
Jeff Porcaro,
yeah.
On drums.
Wow.
Danny Korchmar and Waddy Wattel on guitars. Yeah, that's going back. That's probably from about 1978, maybe. Wow. Recorded in 77 or something like that. It's going a ways back.
Very cool. Very cool.
40 plus years. And that video you mentioned, yeah, it was 1980. I toured with Linda Rondstadt starting in about 1980 on and off over the next 20 years. She had such a multifaceted career. She stopped doing kind of her rock and roll and pop stuff, and anyone who knows her career knows that she did mariachi music and standards like Frank Sinatra style standards with a big orchestra. And I did, when she was doing her rock pop stuff, I was working with her over a
Yeah.
two-decade period. And I toured with Jackson too from 1978 till 1989. I took about a 25-year hiatus, and he asked me to do some stuff about 6-7 years ago. Continue.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me.
I saw on that Linda Rondstadt show, there's a couple things I wanted to mention just real quick before we get into the bass. You're playing two P basses, and they had edited it, and it was funny because in one scene you'd have a red one, and then the other scene you'd have a white one, and I was like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? But I noticed there was this little like a square block plugged into the jack.
Yeah, man, that was my pedal board.
Really?
Pre bass players having pedal boards.
Wow. So was that a wireless?
I'll tell you what that was. Hold on.
Okay, cool.
I'll give you a close-up of it.
Sweet.
Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, this would be cool. What the heck is that thing?
Okay, here it is. It's the Dan Armstrong. You know who Dan Armstrong was, right?
Yeah.
The Dan Armstrong Purple Peaker.
Purple Peaker. Look at that.
Yeah, and you just plugged it in.
Yeah. So what does it do? Is it a fuzz or is it a?
It's kind of I don't know if it's a limiter or compressor.
Huh.
I think it's kind of a limiter. It's like a limiter in a little battery-operated box.
So there's a 9-volt in there.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And my friend, the switch had stopped working, and my good friend Dennis Scrimo, who's a electronic whiz, fixed it for me last year.
Cool.
It's really cool.
It lives again.
I mean, you know what happened around that time? Maybe in the late 70s, I saw when Jamerson was living in LA. There's pictures of him. If you look for, I'll find it.
Cool.
There's a picture of Jamerson playing, and he's got this in his Sunburst P bass.
No kidding. Wow.
And then I went, yeah, I would say in the late 70s around. I got this probably around 78 or so.
Huh.
77. And I don't know why I didn't buy them all. There was a orange squeezer. There was like 5 of them or so.
Wow.
This series.
Oh,
and
shoot.
it really worked great. I forget, in the high and low, there's a high switch off, and then high and low. So you could be playing, like hitting a pedal on a pedal board. You could just kind of flick this switch down, and it really, really tightened up and the highs and lows, because I was starting to play a little slap bass.
That's what I was gonna say, because I saw that video.
So when you kick that in, it really tightened it up, because I was doing it on a P bass.
Yeah.
Nobody was really slapping. I came to find out later that, everybody who does it on like a jazz bass or something like that. P bass sounded, kind of thumpy.
It's got a
better word.
It's got a thing. Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Because in that concert, in that show, there's a track where you slap, and it's interesting that the little box that I was kind of seeing is related to
it is
making that work. So far out.
Yeah, it did. It made it work, and I used it live more than in the studio. Probably I used it in the studio a little bit, but not that much. Live, it actually worked. You know how on a big stage and you got 3 guitar players or whatever, and keyboard and synths, and the sound's big. We played pretty loud with Linda,
right?
As I recall. I had a really huge bass rig back then.
Cool.
Didn't matter. She sang over anything. She never complained about volume.
Man, she was amazing.
Yeah,
wow.
She could really belt. She was the best of the best.
Extraordinary. Yeah.
Yeah, she was extraordinary, without a doubt. But
cool.
Yeah, they would help cut through, on some stuff.
I bet.
To be heard.
Very cool.
A featured part, which there weren't that many.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, I wonder if those are going to get popular again. People start hunting those things down if they're even possible.
I think they were popular for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff is so sophisticated now, but old people love old stuff.
They do. Yeah. Who knows? Well, speaking of old stuff, so the Cat bass came along, and it's built around an old you know, a modern version of an old instrument. So that's kind of how
An old
you
instrument right here.
you have it going. Oh, that'd be fun if you could grab that so we could show people. We haven't had one of those in these interviews yet, so
Well,
that'll be
that's what
cool.
attracted me to the bass at first.
Yeah,
At the AM show when I met you in 2018.
right.
You came by the booth, right?
Yep.
And saw
Yeah.
that bass, and I freaked out just at the looks of it, because I might have to take this one off for a second. Hard to
Sure.
use both. Here. So I've got a bunch of stands over there. This
Okay.
is my computer area. That's my amp and stands. I mean, a
Cool,
guitar, you know, rack and stuff. But
Yeah.
here's the Goya Panther 2, as it's known, missing
Right.
the pickup cover. Came with a chrome pickup cover here and
Right.
a thumb holder, you know, nice wooden thumb holder. This didn't come.
Huh.
I met our good pal the same time I met you. That year I met Juan.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's the first time we met. You and I met at the NAMM show, but then we met about a month later at his studio.
At his place. Yeah. Yeah.
So I actually traded a really beautiful bass to him for this.
Oh, that was his.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude, this was his.
Yeah.
So besides loving it so much, so let's go to the headstock, because
Mhm.
what attracted me to your bass, besides, I mean, you know, it's really hard to hear something at the NAMM show, but I
Yes.
picked it
Yes.
up and I just kind of went like this acoustically to that bass and just went, wow, this thing really sounds amazing for how light it is. You know, it had a
Yeah.
resonance just acoustically like that. I like to hear basses, you know, like that before I even plug them in. Because some basses, you know, right away that it might sound great, but you might not love the way the fundamental rings or something, you know, down
Right.
low. If it doesn't have that sound that I like, or, you know,
Right.
person likes, whatever that frequency is, if it's more low mids or more lows or more highs.
Sure.
And so anyway, I had one of these in the 80s, early 80s,
Okay.
that I had bought at a vintage store. And then I loved it, but then I sold it, you know, some years later and bought
Sure.
something else, you know, just bought something else with that money. But here's the crazy long headstock.
Yep. Oh, look at that G string rubbing on that D string tuner. That's just bonkers.
Yeah, so it's a short scale bass, but let's see if I can stand them up next to each other because of the headstock. Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see that. Yeah.
Wait a second. How much? Can you
Oh,
see how much?
it's quite a bit
it is?
longer. Yeah.
These are sitting on the same stool.
Wow. Same scale
And the
length
way
too.
it fits on the body's a lot longer. See?
Right.
But I love the simplicity of your bass when I saw it. You know, this has the same thing, one knob, you know, volume, and then the pickup selectors and tone switches. I went, oh man, I had a Goya bass. I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
So cut to a month later after that NAMM show in 2018, I just met Juan at a little Ampeg roundtable thing, and I loved him immediately. We hit it
Yeah.
off.
Yep. He's
And
great.
so we met at your place, and you know, we've hung out for a couple hours. I gotta go home with one of these. And I
Yep.
remember you had two there.
Yep.
You had was it a natural one with no finish?
No, there's it's more of a bluish color.
Oh, it's a
Yours-
dark blue. Yeah.
Yeah, yours is kind of the green
Yeah,
one.
yeah, this is like
Actually,
Fiat blue or something. What do you call it?
yeah. It's you know, it was just a custom color that my painter did. The idea was to have it be like a Fiat green, but
It reminds me of one of those little Fiat hard
yeah, it just ended up kind of being this weird, interesting color that probably isn't something that you could find in a
Well, I
paint shop
remember
or
being both of them for
an
an hour, and they both sounded amazing. I went, oh, this one had flats and the other one didn't, right?
That was the key, was you wanted the one with flats on it. So yeah, which good choice. I mean, Al Kim still has the other one, so
Oh, he does?
yeah, he still has that thing. I don't know when I'll get it back from him, but you know, we've been hiding out from the virus. So,
Right.
I'm sure, hopefully he's enjoying it.
But anyway, I saw this and just immediately took to it and kind of just immediately started using it a lot. I mean,
Wow.
it just fits right into, my arsenal. It just speaks to me, the sounds. I mean, it has a lot of, as people might know about this bass or don't know, the tone switches have a lot of variables, right?
Right. Yep.
Which I can't explain electronically what they do.
Yeah.
But there's a couple, 3 sounds on it that are just amazing. 2 in particular that I switch between. And I keep both pickups. Well, the pickups are in series; they're all in.
Right.
So you can explain. You explain to me again what that does.
Well, okay. So normally our screen is frozen here. Hopefully this call doesn't completely drop us. But
it's not on my end.
Okay, cool. So the first switch is parallel, so you get the neck and the bridge pickup like you would on a jazz bass, right?
There's that one.
And then
both
you get
pickups on.
Yep. And then you get
that's the front pickup.
Neck pickup, bridge pickup, and then off. And the off thing, that's something that Juan wanted because he does a lot of stuff with switching pedals. And so he can turn it on and off, and you get this weird, cool stutter effect through pedals.
Right.
So that was kind of one of the reasons I wanted to have. That's why one of the reasons he liked the original Goya was because you had a similar vibe there. And then, when I was developing this with those switches have an all-in mode. And then it was like, well, we got to do something with that. What do we do with that? And we tried it in series and just went, whoa, okay, that's cool. We got to keep that on there. So, and then the other switches, there's flat, the tone switches, there's the flat one, then there's the 047.
The flat, this is flat.
Yep.
The front one.
The front one. And then the next one is like a traditional Fender tone roll off, an 047 cap. And then the next one is the super dark. I was like, okay, I want this bass to have these really crazy dark, dubby, fat bass sounds. And so we went with twice the 47. So it's like a 0.09 cap, basically, almost a 0.1. And then the last one is a
0.90.
So it's 0.047 would be your standard.
Oh, I see. And
Fender.
then 0.09.
So 0.09, which is almost a 0.1.
Right. 2 times.
Microfarads. Yeah. And I don't know, that setting to me was just like, all right, this is really fun. I love that setting. And then the last one is the Midnatch, which I don't typically like to refer to it as a scoop because a lot of people think a scoop is like intended for slappers. And that setting isn't really it's not a slap scoop. I wouldn't recommend that for slapping, but it does. Who was I talking to? Who ends up using a lot? Gosh, I can't remember right now. I've done 7 of these interviews already. So, but that one's, I'm curious who's kind of getting into that last switch because it tends to really help a bass. It's like what an engineer would do to scoop the mids out a little bit and make a bass kind of sit in a track and open it up a little bit more for the rest of the mix. So that's an interesting setting. And I'm glad some people are really utilizing it. But yeah, your favorite setting is all in with the extra dark, right? I mean, that's kind of.
Well, or this one, or the second one.
Okay, yeah.
The more P one. Yeah, I found that at first, for the first year, I never got off this setting, the dark setting, the sub, the dubby sub setting. I just loved it so much because it sounded so unlike any other instrument I have.
Right.
And I always, I've for many, many years brought numerous basses going back to the 80s, to sessions from Hofner's to K's to Harmony hollow bodies, K hollow bodies, Oh God! Well, I have the Goya. There's Cleara basses. There's Gibsons and so many. I mean, I've kind of been weeding out the herd for the last 3 years a bit, but before I get rid of, I end up with one new one.
Right.
But, I found that this bass now it seems like for the last year or so, oftentimes I do overdubs for people at their studio, and if I need to, if I'm just going to do 1 or 2 songs, I don't want to schlep 5 basses. But I
Mhm.
find if I bring a P bass and this, it covers everything.
Wow.
And I might
That's
need, if I've heard the music beforehand,
if you kind of know what you're going into, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I don't know what I'm going into, I'll probably bring a couple other choices or one other choice.
Like a
Like
J bass, or what else would you bring?
maybe a J style bass. I have
Okay.
that I've been using for a while, or 2 P basses, one with
Right.
flats and one with rounds, and just
Cool.
like a lot of other guys. They end up sounding the same, really.
Right. Yeah.
But oh, I don't know, maybe a Mustang bass or just
Okay.
something different, or a Hofner that do sound different than this. But this can
Right.
cover a lot of territory that maybe a P bass. It definitely sounds different than a P bass.
I think that's one of the reasons I was so excited about when once you got this bass and started sharing here and there some of the work you were doing with it, and the fact that you were, it was one of your main instruments that you bring to sessions. It kind of opened my eyes to the reality that because this bass is rooted in something old but designed to be more functional for modern use and not have the weird quirks, but it's kind of like it was an instrument that was designed in the 60s and then forgot about, but it sounds like it came from that era, and it stacks up to some of the the most famous recording instruments of all time. And that, I mean, once I started to realize that was where we'd landed with this thing, I got really excited about it. And so your experience with it has been really informative that way. So I mean, does that jive? You feel like it's like it sounds old, but it's somehow
Yeah,
does
it just
things?
sounds just like, it has the sound I want to hear, or,
Yeah.
one of the 5, 6, 5 sounds. It just sounds just like just like I pictured it,
Right, there you go. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it just sounds right. If I'm lucky enough to be in a studio, and most studios or at home, have a mix where I can turn the bass up, have inputs for every instrument, or at least
Yeah.
4 inputs or something. I can turn myself up. It
Yeah.
just sounds so big and full, and it's so fun to play. I mean, I love short scale instruments
Yeah.
for years anyway. And so
Right.
it's so fun to play. It's so light. It's just easy to play. It's easy to wear. I've played it live
Yeah.
on gigs. It just fits in, with the band, just like I want it to. I mean,
Wow. Very,
it's
so
so
cool.
simple. I don't know how to put it much more simply than that.
Yeah.
I
It
sound
just
like a
works.
doofus because it just works. It's
Yeah.
just kind of like a P bass. I can't really explain it. I mean, I have a bunch of P basses, but
Yeah.
I have a couple that are, well, actually about 4, 5 that are exceptional.
Right.
And
Right.
they all sound a little different to me. I mean, most people probably don't, bass
Yeah. Well.
players know the difference, but
Yep.
most
Yep.
people.
You've been playing some of those for 40 years, right? I mean.
Yeah, my 59 P bass I
I
bought
mean, you
at the
kind of
P
you
conference.
get to know how they sound when you play
And the
them for that
strings
long.
came off of another bass, by the way, and the strings on it are 48 years old. On my
Wow.
on my fave P bass.
Oh, it's
I don't
awesome.
really travel with that one anymore. I kind of stopped.
Be
So
careful with it.
this bass, I took it actually right after I got it. I went to New Orleans to play on a great artist's record, and it was the first time I had traveled with this bass.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought that and a P bass, an old P bass. And guess what? I didn't use the P bass the whole week. I think that
Wow.
album still never came out. I think he's released maybe singles off of it.
Okay.
It was going to come out like we did in 2018. It was going to come out early 2019. It was going to come out early 2020 in the pandemic,
Yeah, and he's
everything
probably
got
gonna.
old.
Yeah.
So he's probably made a couple more albums, but since then. But my point is that I plugged this in, the engineer freaked out. I freaked out how good it sounded in that context. So it's kind of two guitar, bass, drum, rock and roll kind of. The art, the artist kind of sounds like, I won't say sounds like, but it was kind of like Neil Young, Crazy Horse style.
Okay. Kind of Americana, like classic
Yeah,
vibe. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
but with maybe a New Orleans twist.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Cool. Cool. So that I mean, that was my next question was feedback and reaction from engineers and other players. And
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I know you've been a big proponent of that bass. So, and I've told a lot of people about it, which is totally amazing and awesome. But so I know you used it with Jackson Browne, and I mean, you've used it.
Yeah, he has a new album coming out. Well, the new year starts in 2 days, so he has a new album coming out, and I sometime this next year. And I use this. I'm sorry, I got distracted for a minute.
It's all right.
Yeah, there's some songs I use this bass on.
Cool. Wow. Yeah.
By the way, that artist's name in New Orleans, his name is Anders Osborne.
Okay.
Really great singer-songwriter.
Cool. We'll keep an eye out when that comes out, and then
yeah,
you know,
I'll let you know when it comes out and if there's any particular tunes. And then there's a handful of other songs over the last, almost couple of years now that I've used it on. I mean, at some point I could send you a list, but nothing that famous or.
I think there was a Chrissy Hind cover of that you did, and that was one of the first times you sent me something, and I went, oh wow, this is serious. I was like, this bass. I mean, if you're using it on stuff like that, I was like,
yeah,
wow,
it was on a Mose Allison tribute record.
Right.
That my great friend Don Heffington and Amy Allison and Sheldon Gomberg co-produced. Amy, Mose Allison's daughter, co-produced, and a lot of different artists redoing Mose Allison tunes.
Cool.
I think it's called "If You're Going to the City," that album. But yeah, I used it on the on that Chrissy Hind track, and it's just kind of a slow bluesy thing I was trying to emulate, sort of kind of a Ray Brown style walking bass, but in my lame brain kind of ham-fisted way.
Oh man, wow, it sounded great. I was super excited to hear that when you sent that over. That was really cool. Right on. Any other like anecdotes like that with engineers where
I did a record with my friend Jim Keller, who was in the group from the 80s, Tommy Two-Tone. He wrote 8375309, Jenny Jenny, remember that song?
Yeah, totally.
Well, he's had an amazing career doing other stuff in the music business, but he's continually written tunes, and we're good friends. And he's been putting out a couple singles and put off his album release, which we did early this year. I played a lot of that album on this bass. There's actually a video I'll send you that he just sent me. I think I can send it to you.
All right.
I don't think it's been released. It's just us, a photographer, videographer, shot some stuff of us in the studio cutting some songs. But I used this bass on a lot of that album. The engineer is my good buddy, freaked out. He went, wow, and he's a bass player too. He went, what's that thing?
Cool.
Let's use it.
Cool. Yeah.
Because he's a bass player and a great engineer. And so when I plug in a bass, I better be pretty sure it's going to be something he likes, because if he doesn't, he'll go, plug in the white P bass.
Right. The fail safe, the standby. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's cool. That was one of the great things about you getting this instrument that really helped us out a lot, was that you have enough credibility with engineers and producers that if you walk in and you say, hey, let's check this out and plug it in, and they'll at least give you a minute.
You don't want to waste people's time,
Right. Yeah.
This is a bass. I think it's good. No, I was pretty convinced, by
Yeah,
playing
that
at home a lot and with headphones and without headphones, and being it with a bunch of other instruments
yeah. Yeah,
that
I
would
had
be the
kind of
shit.
yeah, I had kind of the same experience. I mean, just me sitting home writing random nonsense by myself, playing against a drum groove or whatever.
Yeah,
But
I heard a bunch of it.
yeah, I mean, I went to school for recording, and I've always wanted to get into producing and recording and doing more,
Uh-huh.
creative, music. And just as I had one of those basses around and just really got to know it and hear how it sits and works, that to have one of these instruments in your hands and have you kind of go through the same discovery process, understanding how the bass is really an extraordinary tool for getting lots of great bass tones. That was just like the ultimate validation for me. I was like, wow, okay,
That's
so I'm
nice
on to
to hear. Well, I'm
I'm
still
onto
getting to
something.
know
So
it.
what was that?
I'm still getting to know it, like
Well, I
every
mean,
time I pick it up,
me
find out,
too.
different, well, just different types of music, different bands, I mean, different, when I say different bands, if it's keyboard oriented or two guitar oriented music,
Right,
how it
right.
sits with different instruments to
Sure.
feel comfortable and just pulling it out first. Because, like I said, I usually bring a couple instruments. But I was doing a gig at a club actually subbing for Abe Laboriel, who was the
Wow.
first person, by the way, I ever saw play a Goya Panther.
He's a big reason this bass exists because,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, but
because
his Goya Panther, by the time I saw him play, he had a P and a J pickup in it.
yeah,
So it really wasn't a Goya. It didn't,
no,
you know what I mean?
yeah, he
You
messed
just
with it
put
quite
it
a bit.
into that instrument and,
Yeah,
it had that nice small short scale vibe. And so it's got a small neck, like kind of like this.
yeah.
Maybe not
You,
the same, but
you,
similar.
you know, here's the funny thing. That Goya bass that you have that was Juan's is the one that I used to model all of my measurements off of.
Oh, you
So
did?
so that's actually like the foundational like development base that I
Oh,
used
really?
when I realized, okay, I need to do this. That's the one that I had because Juan left it with us for, I think I probably had it for 6 months because he
Well,
had another one,
that's
right?
his B. That's his B Goya because his
Yeah, that
red
was the backup.
is the red. I think the other one. Yeah, that's
Y-
his A one. That's why he, went, okay, you can.
You can have the scraps, Bob.
Yeah, well, we traded. He got a cool bass too. Probably,
Yeah,
probably won't use it that much, but it looks amazing. It's a little
yeah.
Framus, pretty
Oh
rare,
yeah,
but it's a rare Framus.
cool, cool.
Anyway, I miss Juan. I need to call
Oh,
him.
yeah, me
Anyway,
too.
that's a whole nother call.
Yeah, I need to go visit him because one of the screws on the neck pickup on his fell out, so I got to go fix up because I
This?
I sent one of these to him
Yeah, I
about a
saw
month
a bit.
about a
I
month
saw a
ago.
picture of him with it.
Yeah, yeah, and so I gotta go fix it up for him and get it back working because the neck
Well, this
pickup.
thing always
So
plays. Oh, I've never had to tweak the neck. Some bases, especially at this time of year. For the last month with
yep,
heat going on in the house. I have a heat and air conditioner out here, so
right,
it's hot in this room in the summer and cold in the winter, so it fluctuates. But this neck never really moves. I
yeah,
keep
good.
action kind of high. I've got a little kind of a stiff foam rubber mute in here. I love the
Mm,
Nordy mute too. I have that
yeah,
sitting in my gig bag, there.
cool.
But sometimes I can't adjust it as easily. It's a much more muted sound
Right.
than this. I love that thing though. I've had good success with that.
I can't believe how many of those we've sold. I mean, I kind of can, but it's in the thousands. It's
Really? Wow,
Oh
that's
yeah.
amazing. Great.
I mean, we've been doing those for about 2.5 years now, and I mean, we'll sell a couple a day. My
Oh,
phone will
wow.
go off. It's amazing. I couldn't be happier about that. So that's really cool.
And I haven't changed the strings since I got the bass from you. I
Right
think
on.
probably unless one unravels or something, they'll probably be on here for years
For
to
a
come.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
What
not
are they?
40,
Are they
45.
Diodero, GHS?
I think those are Dunlop flats,
Oh,
actually.
Dunlop.
Yeah,
They feel good.
yeah. So the GHS are cool. You know, I've been hearing from a lot of people about different flats, because a lot of guys, you know, they'll have it for 2 weeks or a month, and then they'll go, oh, now I got to put flats on it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah, I
then,
can't imagine ever wanting to change this unless I wanted to put some tape, you know, like black nylon tape wound
right,
strings or something
kind of
real
go even further down the dark
kind of,
sound
yeah.
hole. Yeah,
I'm kind
yeah.
of really into those lately.
Right on. Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
different brands too, although I'm partial to Labella strings.
Yeah.
But there are different tape wounds, brands of tape wounds that all sound and feel differently.
Yeah, there's so many options in that segment of the string market. It's really takes a while. I think it'd take a while to fight, especially if you leave them on for years and years. So,
Oh yeah,
but
which I do.
right, right.
Yeah, I don't really do this anymore, the thumb slapping. So new strings, I don't really need the new strings.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes new strings sound great, but I like them worked in, you know.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That's something I've come to over the last probably 4 or 5 years of like, I'm not a bright string guy anymore. So, um, so anything else? Anything else you want to talk about, cat related or career related, or or whatever?
I just love this thing. I'll tell you again, it's so
Awesome.
cool. It's so light. It's so easy to play. You know, it sounds good in so many different configurations. It just
Awesome.
sounds amazing. It can sound. It actually can sound like, you know, a couple, like 2, 3 different, 4 different instruments. I mean, brand of basses. You know.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
in my hands, it sounds the same as, you know, I kind of sound the same on every bass, but you know, this does have a distinctly unique tone to it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's huge sounding.
Right. Awesome. Cool.
Sometimes
Cool.
it's a bit to contain. It's so huge,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
That bottom.
maybe is why I have the mute on, and I'll end up playing with my, you know, thumb, and, you know, even mute it more, or take the mute out, mute it this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I just
Well,
love the thing. It just performs. It just it's just amazingly great. I'm so
uh,
happy you and I met, and that I kind of talked you out of the one of 2 or 3 handmade basses you made. I didn't have
yeah.
to wait, because I told a bunch of guys about this after, you know, I got it. So
Mm-hmm.
it took about what, a year for the manufactured bass to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
circulating now. I know Tim has that other one I wanted.
Yeah. The
He got a
burst one.
really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, you know, well deserved.
Well,
And
that
then
was
I heard a
funny.
video of him playing with the Scary Pockets. Oh my God,
Yeah. He's so
Tim.
great. Yeah, I know, right?
I
Yeah.
won't do anything else, Lud. But
Yeah, yeah. He
yeah,
wouldn't
sounds
he wouldn't
amazing in his hands. And then I know a handful of guys that have gotten them since. I haven't really spoken to them at length about it. I know, did Travis get one?
Travis Carlton? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
done it. I did one of these interviews with him.
Oh, you did? I wish I had
He
listened to him before I did this, so I don't
he
sound like a
oh no.
stallion.
No, no, you believe me, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be
I'm a
great.
big fan of Tim and Travis's.
Oh man, all the guys. That's the thing about the type of player this space is attracted, is it's just really something. I mean, Tim, he wouldn't give that one back to me. I know I sent it to him. Here, just check this out until we get the production instruments in, and then you can pick whatever you want out of the production instruments. And he was like, I'm keeping this one.
Uh-huh.
Well, all right then. So he bought that one, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, he loves it, and he uses it to great effect. Really, really amazing. So
I'm waiting for my second. I'm waiting for my number 2B.
they're
We don't
they're
have to discuss that.
yeah, they're coming. I think they're on the boat now. So and we've been doing this pre-sale thing where we're selling them until the beginning of the new year at introductory pricing, which is what we had. And then they're going to go up to their regular price after the first. And we've already sold more than 50 in less than a month. pre-sales. And to me, that's amazing that people are plunking down a decent chunk of change for something they're not going to get for a month and a half yet. So
Well, save me a cardinal red one.
we will keep you one for sure. Actually, if you want to come out and hand select one and play them, and
they're coming soon, right?
Yeah, end of January.
Oh,
yeah.
end of January.
Yep, that's
NAMM
when.
Show. Woulda, shoulda, coulda been NAMM show time.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of glad to not have to deal with a NAMM show this year, especially on top of everything else. So, so yeah, I'm not crying too hard about that. Plus, I mean, we're gonna do some fun stuff around that time, mainly getting these bases out the door. So, but yeah, if you want to come out and check one out, and,
I might
kind of work through them
on strings on that one or something.
Okay, right on.
Instead of round wound, I don't know. I thought of keeping round.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The theme here has been that everyone that I've talked to is like, I got to get another one so I can have one with rounds and one with flats, and then you're going to be the exception to that, where you're going to go, I'm going to have one with flats and then with extra flats.
Maybe.
So,
I mean, I don't know yet. I mean, I
Yeah.
thought that I was going to get a second one because I like this one so much. Just like I don't want to travel with my
okay.
old P bases or too many vintage bases anymore.
Yeah.
Although I still do, but they're kind of been on the traveled so long, I don't care. But my main recording bases, I retired them from the road a couple of years ago and got some reissue kind of very good newer bases, Fender bases, but I still have an old one that I travel with. But I feel kind of similarly about this bass. Like, oh, maybe this is like the magic handmade. Carey Nordstrand put his love and you hand built this one, right? So I thought, well, maybe I'll get one of the production ones to travel.
Cool. Yeah, there you go.
No, I don't know what kind of strings, but the like you said, the flat wound or flatter wound.
Right, extra flat.
Extra
flats. We just came up with something. Are you listening, string makers? Extra flat. Cool. Well, man, I can't thank you enough for doing this interview.
Yeah, my pleasure, Carey.
This has been great. Really appreciate it. So stick around. I'm going to stop recording, and then we'll have a couple more things we can chat about for a few minutes. But thanks again so much for helping me herd some cats. So
okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.